Hello there, lovely folks of YouTube. Bren here. So this is not my garden. Things are taking a little turn in my life. I don't want to go into a whole lot of details, but I'm actually back home here in the south suburbs of Chicago. This is my mother's garden. This is the garden in which I grew up. Things have changed a lot from the time that I was a child, but I wanted to give you a little tour of her garden so you can kind of get an idea of where my love of gardening came from. Now, a couple caveats. My mom is not a witch, so there's no witchcraft related stuff here. My mom also gardens for aesthetics. So she put a lot of love into this garden. She has been in this home for almost 60 years now, and she has been gardening that entire time, nurturing this garden through a wealth of changes over that time. So let's get started. So we're actually standing at the gate that leads into the backyard right now. You can kind of see my parents' tool shed right there that my father built not long after the house was built. This is a very shady garden. You can actually see there's a lot of tree cover here. So most of the plants you're going to see are shade plants. This one is a really cool one. This was not here when I was a child, but I did want to point this one out first. This is a Japanese variegated willow, and just look at the colors that plant makes as it grows in. It is just gorgeous. My mom thought that she had actually lost this tree a while ago. There had been an incident where the sewer line had to be redone, and you can actually see the big scar where the bobcat ran over this tree, but it still bounced back up and came back. So anyway, I'm going to go back over here along the house. This is her little herb bed here. This is where the black raspberries grow that I used to eat tons of when I was a child. And there's other herbs in here too. There is, that looks like a mugwort, or no, not a mugwort, some kind of artemisia in there. And then she has lots of mint as well. There's always been spearmint, and there's lemon balm here too, because of course lemon balm is a thug. It grows everywhere. She used to have herbs in this bed as well. Now it looks like it's more ornamental stuff. There's also another lemon balm in there, of course. All this old limestone flagstone here. This used to be a sunny bed. Now it gets a lot more shade, so she has her autumn blooming hydrangea, which is actually a vine, is right here. I cannot grow that where I am. It's too invasive. All this old limestone flagstone here. There's a little spot. You can't really see it. It's filled in now as part of the wall is collapsed. But there was a little hole there that when I was a child, there was always a toad that lived in that hole. So, and see, lots of Hostas. She has a lot of Hosta, a lot of shade plants like this nice one. This is a really nice heuchera. I'm not sure what kind it is. There's so many heucheras, it's impossible to tell. So, and then of course going up onto the deck here. There's actually a concrete patio under this deck, which is what used to be there when I was a child. This is where my swimming pool was. And looking back here, let me give you a better view here. So just look at that. You can see how the focal points of the two posts lead your eye directly to that little trellis, that pyramid trellis in the back. That's a really neat design trick. Whenever you have a straight line like that, you always want to give the eye of it, something at the end of it, because the eye is going to be naturally drawn to visually follow that line. So this big old tree here is a Norway maple. I used to climb in that tree all the time to read my books. She's got a lot of yews here. Yews, of course, grow really well in shade. This little bed here, you can't really see them now. They're done. But she still has some tulips in there, and those tulips are actually original. Like she planted those the first year she moved into the house. So you can see my variegated Solomon seal. I call it mine because this is actually where my plant came from. Is right here. This is the parent plant for the one that I have in my yard. But she does have a lot of cool stuff that I don't have, like this little guy right here. This is a Brunnera. That's a really neat looking shade plant. Really nice foliage on that. There's more Solomon seal back here. The neighbors behind us have a very large, very aggressive dog, so I'm hoping that dog doesn't come out and start barking. There's St. Michael. St. Michael, of course, is always in my mom's garden somewhere. There's more Brunnera back there. plants I don't necessarily recognize. There's a lot of them. That one I know is a catmint. That's a Nipeta. And then of course this little thing here there is a clematis on here that is blooming. Oh, where this little pyramid is right here, that actually used to be my, where my swing set was when I was a kid. It's one of her peonies. This might be the Festiva Maxima. That sure looks like it. You can see that hers have not bloomed yet, so she's a few weeks behind me. You know, we're zone 5 here, and I'm zone 7, so. But there's some really nice columbines that are blooming. This is still definitely springtime here in the Chicago area. This peony is already blown. I actually have this peony, well, one of them anyway, but mine is in the front yard, and it hasn't been doing so hot in the front yard, so I think I'm probably going to move it into the back, because now that I see what the peony looks like in her yard, I'm like, oh, mine doesn't look anywhere near that nice. Here's where you can see a really good sampling of all the different hostas and all the different types of leaves you can get on them. I don't even know what some of these are. That one's an Oreo marginata. I know that one. That one might be a guacamole. I don't know. That one I think is a big cup. One of these, and I'm pretty sure it's this little green-gray one here, is it's either that one or the one, that little orangey one back there. One of those two is a variety called Wiggles and Squiggles. So, and then of course we got this big yellowy orange one, which I think is an August moon. Like, I mean, you just look at it. There's like, this whole area is all hostas. There's like 8 different hostas here, and they all look different. And there's the dog. There's the dog. See the little, lots of limestone. Always easy to get limestone around here. That's the Blue Angel hosta. I have part of that hosta as well. Mine is not that big because I've been digging it back really heavily to make sure it doesn't get that big. But you can see it gets very big. And then this little bush, this is actually her Magnolia. One of 2. She's got another one right here. That's the deciduous magnolias. So, really interesting plants here. So there's a lungwort. Hers is a lot more showy than mine because she has a showy cultivar. And then this is a really nice little plant here. This is called Tiarella. Tiarella is also sometimes hybridized with Heuchera to a plant called Heucherella. So you see lots of nice ferns. This one right here, this is old, old, old. So let me see if I can get you a better view of one of the ones next to it. Golly, dog, you're annoying. This is a lilac. Unfortunately, you can see I've missed the bloom time by just a few days, really. These lilacs are also original to the house. She planted these lilacs when she first bought the house in 1956, I want to say it was. And these lilacs actually came from my great-grandmother's house, who had a lilac hedge. All these, you can just see the interplay of the different textures and colors of the leaves. So even though there's not a lot of flowers, there's just so much visual interest here with all these different plants all playing together. It's just, yeah. You can see where I got it from. That little gargoyle there hides a little secret. If we go back here, there's actually a secret path that leads back into that corner there. That's actually where St. Michael used to be, but it looks like the yews have kind of overgrown. There used to be, when you can still see, there's the stump there. There used to be 2 really big, really big, like pine or spruce or some kind of fir, some kind of tree. There's still one here. This tree is not looking so great, but it's still here. That's old tree. That was original as well. My mom actually did not plant that tree. It was our next door neighbor who planted it. But yeah, that whole area used to be shaded out by those evergreens, and there was like a little bower under there that you can kind of hide under. And I think she had a little seat, stool or something. But what is that? I don't even know what that is. Golly, that's interesting. It has a leaf that's sort of like a columbine, but ooh, I'm going to have to ask her what that flower is when she gets home. And then here is another good example of all the interplay of the different colors and textures of the leaves with the different hostas and everything. There you go. And then of course this little area here, this is literally the only grass in her entire backyard. Right around this honey locust tree right here. Kind of get a better idea of the scope of the yard here and just how everything is filled in. I actually took my wedding photos back here when I got married. And people who didn't know me, didn't grow up with me, later on would see these photos and be like, oh my gosh, where'd you get these pictures taken? I want to go to that garden. And I'm like, oh, that's where I grew up. Here's the last little one. There's the pink peony. And again, I have this peony as well. This is one that my mom gave me. My mom will seriously like just take plants and like pack them up into plastic bags, put them in her carry-on and fly them out to me when she comes out to visit. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that only a gardener would do, you know. Oh, these little barberries have been here forever. I remember these too. And then this one, I'm not sure what this is. It kind of has a leaf like a gooseberry, but there's a lot of plants that like, I don't know what they are because they don't grow by me. At least not easily. More of her little lungwort. So, and you can kind of see here the path that leads out to the front yard. Also very heavily gardened, and the whole front yard is gardened as well. I'm not going to show you the front yard because I don't like doing that because it's too easy for people to track you down on Google Earth and that kind of stuff. So I'm, you know, a little weary of that, but yeah, trust me when I say that the front yard is just as nice. So yeah. Now, can you imagine growing up in a yard like this? Honestly, how could you not become a gardener? Yep. Anyway, that's all I'm going to give you for today. That's really all I have in me. Your little lantern there, right by the Japanese maple. So now you can see what 60 years of suburban gardening can do for you. Holy cow. All right. Hope this video finds you well. I will see you again soon.